On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
I hope you're having a great Thursday, and welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. Hey, the first two segments of today, Kyle and I are going to visit. We're going to share some anecdotes from some past shows. I got a really important thing I want to talk about as it relates to one special show we had last week. And in the second half of the show, we're going to be joined by Paige Roberts from the Jackson County Chamber and kind of get an update from her. So without any further ado, let me bring my friend and partner in crime, the producer of Coast Vue, Kyle Curley, into the conversation and just say, first of all, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. So much inspiration, man. So much inspiration. But, you know, one of the things I was thinking about, you like to fish, don't you, buddy?
I do.
So when I think about fishing and I think about the coast, I'm a big fan of Ernest Hemingway. And I want to share with you something that he said that you really will apply to you and me, because you know I love to fish as well. But anyone who has a deep appreciation for the written word, if you're into literature, you probably have even a deeper appreciation for someone like Ernest Hemingway. He's actually considered America's greatest novelist. He was a very complicated person, but he was a very much a larger than life figure, and he wrote a lot about the outdoors and particularly about the sea. Of course, we all know his novel Old Man and the Sea, but given his love of the sea, there's a lot of insight for us here in coastal Mississippi from the things that he writes. He does such a good job of putting what I would refer to as our coastal passion into words that really apply to us here so well. I'm gonna give you an example, and Kyle, listen to this one, and I think it really applies well. It's about the passion that we have here in coastal Mississippi, or it applies to the passion we have here in coastal Mississippi, and fishermen like Sonny Schindler, who visits with us on this show. And it speaks to kind of the precision that you need to be a great fisherman. It's not just about luck, but here's what Hemingway said about it. Every day is a new day. It is better to be lucky, but I would rather be exact. Then when luck comes, you are ready. You know, when you fish, yeah, there's a lot of precision in fishing, and every time you turn the corner, you find out somebody's used a lure to do something interesting, or that maybe they used a different kind of a hook or a different kind of a bait. You know that, don't you, buddy? You're doing a lot of experimenting these days, aren't you?
Yeah, and fishing is, it's almost, it's like anything else. Once you think you have it figured out, then it changes. It happens just so often enough to let you realize that you really don't know what you think you know. And a lot of it's luck and a lot of it's skill. You just keep on plugging in and seeing what happens. And well, to me, I don't know why a white lure works better than a blue one from day to day. I know it's, there's going to be a science behind it. And if the water is murky, I've seen murky water catch fish with dark lures that, defies all logic on how could you even see it. So,
well, when you talk to Sonny Schindler, from Sure Thing Charters, who's on the show a lot, and I'm glad to have him join us and talk about this. But you realize that even sometimes if the fish aren't there, it might take them a day to find them. But, there may be somebody standing next to Sonny who's throwing exactly the same lure, and because they're not letting it sink quite far enough, or maybe they're not retrieving it slow enough, they don't catch anything and he catches something. But he loves conveying that expertise or that exacting approach to his customers. And that really, describes what we encounter here in coastal Mississippi all the time. Just think of all the variables. You talked about it just now, murky water versus clear water, and, salinity being down a little bit. There's so much magic in it. And there's a lot of precision in it. Well, that's what you've learned, isn't it?
Yeah, and precision is something I think most of the time I'm probably lacking in. I'm just more of a, let's just throw it over there and see what happens kind of person, instead of do I jig it this way? Do I jig it that way? Throw it out there. If it hits it, it hits it.
Hemingway Hemingway is a very resilient person, was a really resilient person over his entire career. But in The Old Man and the Sea, there are a couple of quotes that are my favorite that really speak to resiliency. And here's one of them that he shared. Now is no time to think of what you do not have. Think of what you can do with what there is. I've shared this before, but it's a powerful statement. Now is no time to think of what you do not have. Think of what you can do with what there is. You know, you think about that old man who had not caught a fish in 84 days, an old man in the sea, and he just kept such a positive, hopeful point of view. But, you know, Katrina and other challenges here in coastal Mississippi have taught us to really focus on what we can do with what there is, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it makes you think about control what you can control and stop trying to control the out of control things, other people things, what they think, what they do. Just control yourself. And once you find that inner control, that inner peace, you're a much happier person. There's
no doubt. You know, he also says this about hope. It's silly not to hope. It's a sin. It's a sin, he thought. It's silly not to hope. Boy, man, when you have, I don't care how tough the going gets, but when you have hope, you can just about get through anything, can't you?
Yeah, hope really does drive, is a major driving force. You're always hoping to do better. You're always hoping for more money, hoping for a better car, hoping for just getting to your destination without, a tire blowing out. It's hope that's what drives people. And as long as you keep those hopes and dreams, within reason, you can always achieve them.
Last thing I want to share about Ernest Hemingway, I could share for days because I'm a big fan of his, but there was a really cool interview done back in 1954. It was actually done in Cuba by a guy named Robert Manning, who was the executive editor for The Atlantic. And they were visiting in Hemingway's farm home, which sits on a hill overlooking Havana. It's called Finca Vigia is the name of the home. And here's what he said to Robert Manning when he sat there. And think about coastal Mississippi when you hear this, because it is so true. And here's what he said. It's wonderful to get out on the water. I need it. And then he gestures toward the ocean. It's the last free place there is, the sea. That's part of the magic of coastal Mississippi, isn't it, Kyle?
Yes, it really is. That's pretty deep, actually.
It is. It is. Let me read it again. It's wonderful to get out on the water. It's the last free place there is, the sea. That's one of the draws of coastal Mississippi. You can come in. It doesn't cost you anything to watch the sunset or the sunrises, or it doesn't cost anything to park your car and go fish or enjoy the water. And frankly, from here you can go anywhere in the world. That's the interesting thing. If you have the wherewithal to go do it, you can do it. But that's one of the draws of coastal Mississippi, and I think he said it so well. It's very powerful, isn't it?
It is. I'm really thinking about that, just going, wow, yeah.
So last week and this week, we've had some really cool guests. I really enjoyed spending some time with Blake Moeller from Ocean Springs, who had great success in Ocean Springs playing volleyball, and then obviously Purdue University. And then she went to Germany last year, and she just signed a contract to go to Switzerland. And I know her family very well. Her cousin married my daughter, Tori. And so I consider her family, but she left sort of a young person and came back a woman. It's just an incredible conversation. If you missed that, you should listen. We had a great conversation with Captain Sonny Schindler again, and so many others. And it's been very inspiring to be here. There's one special conversation that we had that we'll come back to when we come back from the break. But it was a conversation I had with Shari and Craig Davis, and something really magical happened during that conversation, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Dale Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, "Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi" at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I'm visiting with my buddy Kyle Curley, the producer of Coast View, and we're just we shared some anecdotes from Hemingway just a few minutes ago. So much to learn from Hemingway. So much passion that he shared applies to us here in coastal Mississippi, especially that statement that he made about it's wonderful to get out on the water. It's the last free place there is, the sea. What a beautiful statement to say, and it's so true. It's one of the reasons why people like to come to coastal Mississippi and enjoy it. So anyway, Kyle and I had the opportunity last week to visit with Shari and Craig Davis. They are from Southern California and now call Ocean Springs home. They have invested in a development in Ocean Springs and in Biloxi. And we just had a great conversation. We talked a lot lately on Coast Vue about the perception that people have of coastal Mississippi or Mississippi. And then when they come here, what they see is totally different. But, I didn't expect that during the conversation with Shari and Craig that they together would describe so fundamentally well what the draw is. And what I said after this was over is we got to figure out a way to can what they just said so we can share it with the world, because it is so true. So, Kyle, why don't we tee that up, and then you and I come back on the other side and have a conversation about it. I have had a number of shows where we have discussed this recently, actually, where often the perception of Mississippi is that the people who are here are something that we're not. and you can let your mind run wild on all those different perceptions. And then when they come here, they see something completely different, and they realize that at the core of Mississippi, it's DNA, it's competitive advantage. The people. That's what makes this such a special place. For someone who came from California to come, and decided to make an investment here, how important is what I just said?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's so important. We still are getting questions as to why did we invest in Mississippi, and ultimately, as of this year, we chose to move down here full time, and even sold our property in Southern California to assist in our ventures here and investment here, because we see so much opportunity, and we're so excited to become a part of this growing and beautiful and diverse community. But it is the most beautiful and epic melting pot of individuals and individuality and creativity and just humans, and something that we admire greatly. And I'll never stop, and I know he'll never stop either admiring this, is the fact that here in Mississippi, especially at the Gulf Coast, people are genuinely just allowed to be who they are. No matter where they come from, no matter what they look like, no matter how they dress, no matter how they act, no matter who they love, they are loved, and they're treated with kindness and open arms. And it's just a beauty that is unmatched in any other place we've ever been.
Wow. I mean, Shar, you said that so beautifully. You said that, but you do. There's a chronic appreciation that comes with something like what you just said when you've seen it in when you've experienced the world, and then you find a place like this that has such a beautiful sense of place and such beautiful people. I can't agree more. I obviously, Craig, what would you add to that?
I didn't want to cut her off, but a big thing that needs to be talked about is how pro-business Mississippi is opposed to California, and that's been a breath of fresh air. If I have questions, I call up north, and every single time, second ring, they pick up, they walk me through it, and they're nice. It's not like I'm a burden on them. They want to help, and so that has been just a breath of fresh air down here, is how pro-business Mississippi has been, at least to us. And I feel like it's the same conversation I have with other transplants that we meet down here that we're just not used to in California. And so that was a big thing for us.
It was pretty cool. The very first person we met the day that we pulled into Ocean Springs was Kenny Holloway. And he's become a magnificent human being in our lives as a friend, but also as a business ally, because he has helped support us through our growth and guided us along the way to ultimately find success. And the first conversation that we had with him as he passed us his business card, because he is a commercial real estate agent, was talking about the beauty of Ocean Springs and how beautiful the community is, but how pro-business everyone is as well. And it's a very, very beautiful thing.
Wow. Kyle, when we were having that conversation, and of course we visited during the break, and I explained to them man, you can't imagine how much I enjoyed hearing you articulate that. It was so special. You know, the conversations we've been having, you probably thought to yourself as well, man, that was really, really special.
It really was. And you see it all the time. Like, at least I do. And just the limited work that, not that, we've had a couple of different owners in the past 5-6 years, and they even had different perception of us before they come and met us. And we've got some transplants that now work for us that had a different way of thinking of what Mississippi was before they moved here. And, it's just like they said, once they're here, their whole mind has changed. Their whole perception is blown out of the water because it's just what people think versus what we actually are. And, like Joe Mack said, we can get them in the door. We're going to land it. But, it's a shame that we get cut off before they even sample the product or sample the people.
Yeah, the way he said it, it just drives them crazy to get cut at the desktop before someone actually comes to visit. But, Shari, what was so powerful about them? Shari was born in Biloxi, but really quickly moved off to, I think she said, Connecticut. And, of course, he was born in Southern California, and he grew up, surfing and doing the things that you do when you're in Southern California. But they're both very creative people, and they had this very successful venue in Southern California, and so these are two people who experienced the world and came here because I think she said her father had a place in Bay St. Louis, and he encouraged her to go over to Ocean Springs and take a look at it, and they just fell in love. And the way she said it, Kyle, that's what was so special. I'm gonna commit that to memory, but that we're this incredible melting pot of individuality, and that we're just an accepting place. Everything she said is so contrary to what for people who have not been here, is so contrary to whatever their perception might be of us, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. I honestly, I can't think of one person that I've come across or know that is the typical perceived individual of Mississippi. Even, probably not the most politically correct term, but even the most redneck people I know are still way far better than anybody that the perception of Mississippi is, the typical outsider looking in. And,
the way Joe Mack said it, and he probably has a lot of fun with this when he goes up to do his Harvard, when they do these case studies on the Golden Triangle economic development effort, and he goes up to Harvard, because he's got that, that sort of typical Southern accent, he's got that sort of country demeanor about him. And I bet when he starts to talk, people go, just this is going to be a typical Mississippian. And then he starts to really talk, and they go, this guy's really smart. And then they go, I can learn from this guy. And he is just, I think what he is in, and a lot of us feel this burden, I think, but he's in the sort of the dispelling the myth, mode all the time, just by just being him and being smart and being dogged and being the guy that someone like Harvard would want to write studies about. I mean, it's kind of fascinating, but I think we all carry that burden with us when we go away from here and visit outside this area to show people that we're not what you think we are.
I think just as an icebreaker, he should go next time and pass out some chewing tobacco to everybody.
Well, he said, people had this image that Mississippians, chew tobacco and so on, what he says about that. And he says, I have to tell you, I can't name you 9 of my friends who chew tobacco. So I love the way he says that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a pouch of Levi Garrett in 25 years. So, yeah.
But when people like Shari and her husband come here and they sell their business in Southern California, and they have such a positive experience here, not just in terms of the culture or the people, but also the business climate. What he said about when he calls Jackson and asks questions, and the people are nice. When you come from California, I mean, you don't have to read much of the news to see that California's got issues. and people are leaving California because they've got issues. And I think it's important for us to stay focused on creating a business-friendly environment. That's really interesting to say that as it relates to Ocean Springs, though, because Ocean Springs is this incredible sense of place, and they have such a strong feeling about what that community is about. But you can still have development. You can still have economic development, and you can still, keep your sense of place and do really amazing things. So, Kyle, it's been great visiting with you. So we ought to do this more often.
Yeah, I'll try to keep the Levi Garrett references down.
No, hey man, we'll play with that for sure. When we come back, we'll have Paige Roberts from the Jackson County Chamber join me.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and, wow. All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show
on Super Talk, Mississippi. Whether you're brand new to the DIY craze or a seasoned veteran, the Handyman Show has something for you. Buddy Slowick shares tips and tricks on everything from odd jobs to complete build-outs, from small home repairs to serious construction. So no matter if you're at the master carpenter level or not quite sure how to use a level, the Handyman Show answers your questions with a healthy dose of humor and some great music too. Saturdays, 10 to noon on Super Talk Mississippi and on Super Talk TV.
Super Talk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on Super Talk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I hope you're having a great Thursday. And I'm going to be off tomorrow. I haven't been off much since I started the show over a year and a half ago, but I'm going to be off tomorrow. We won't have the typical Jeff Duncan Friday. We're actually going to replay the Melissa Cookston conversation. She's the winningest woman in barbecue and the star of the Netflix series American Barbecue Showdown. She's from Mississippi. It was a great conversation. I think you'll enjoy it, but we'll play that tomorrow. And then on Monday, we're going to be playing a replay with my old friend Farrell Allman. We grew up in Bellevue together in Gulfport. He owns with his wife Rose SF Allman in Gulfport. Mm-hmm. And it was just a great conversation. The work that he's done to build this incredible business. Every chance I get, I love spending time with entrepreneurs because these are the people who are putting their energy into the community. They're finding a way to operate in this e-commerce world and this big box world that we live in. And they're standing the test of time. There are so many impressive stories like that. So now let's shift gears and move over to my friend Paige Roberts, who's the executive director of the Jackson County Chamber. She's a really, really close friend of mine. We've enjoyed, chatting about building a better coast of Mississippi. She's a regular guest of the show and someone I admire greatly. So how you doing, Paige?
I'm well, thanks, Ricky, and right back at you.
Well, I appreciate that. Hey, one of the beauties of being the publisher of the Sun Herald is that I was super active in the chamber in Harrison County, of course, United Way, all the things that you involved in over the course of your career. But I also had the opportunity to be on the board for the Jackson County Chamber and get to know that area better. And I don't know that I ever missed a meeting, to be honest with you. I enjoyed that drive over there, enjoyed visiting with people, always found a way to, to visit with people maybe I didn't know before. And Jackson County Chamber has always been a serious player in Jackson County, and now you've been leading it. And there's never a dull moment in your life, is there?
No, and actually next week makes 2 years. June the 3rd is my 2-year anniversary in this position, and no, it's not dull.
Well, what's interesting about the role that you're playing? Every chamber does a little something different. That's just the way it works. That's the beauty.
That is right. Yes.
It adapts to its span of control as far as from a regional or geographic point of view. It's the cultural implications, the challenges they may face. I mean, you just never know. Right. Different point of view. In your case, a lot of the traditional chamber responsibilities, you have those, but in addition to that, you're really focused on place building. You're really focused on what you can do to help development occur in downtown Pascagoula, Moss Point, areas that you're responsible for, in a way that really helps build a stronger community. You spend a lot of time in that area, don't you?
I do. One of the things we've been doing in 2021 is revamping our area councils. Like you just mentioned, we have 4 cities in Jackson County, and they each have an area council so that we can manage the needs of each of those communities while also reaching out to the unincorporated areas of the county. Place building, as you mentioned, as well as I would say all the quality of life indicators that make a difference on whether the environment is healthy for businesses to thrive. That is our mission, to ensure that there is a healthy environment in which businesses can thrive.
Well, and on top of that, something we always inevitably get back to, and that is the value of what we're seeing, this really kind of growing concept around mixed use. And for people who may be hearing that term for the first time, mixed use, it means that you could have sort of a retail store or a restaurant down below, and then you could have residential up above. And you're seeing the development of mixed use. We've seen it for, New Urbanism has been preaching mixed use for many, many years, but we're seeing the evolution of mixed use in Mississippi, particularly on the coast, because of the new economy and the creative class. And in your case, with Ingalls and and Chevron, of course, and all the ancillary businesses that support that, you're finding that people that work in those places want to live closer to those places, but they want to live, work, and play in kind of the same space. You're seeing an evolution of that whole thinking, aren't you?
You are. And what's so fascinating to me from a sociological standpoint is that as our phones allow us to be more global, our desire for our physical presence is becoming more confined in a good way, though. That yes, where we live, work, and play, we would like for it to all be within walking distance, golf cart distance, or bicycle distance. And how great is that? And so that is what we're building, as you mentioned, in downtown Pascagoula, in Moss Point, in a variety. Goche is working on it. They don't have a downtown, but they're creating a town center, which is the next best thing.
Well, I got a chance to feel that. I mean, okay, for anyone who lives in New York, this is a concept they're used to. They understand this.
That's right.
But when I worked in New Orleans, I lived in the warehouse district, and I worked 3 blocks from where I lived, and I would walk from the warehouse district to One Canal Place and go to work, and then after work, I'd go back home and I'd run all over the place and maybe run across some interesting things to see along the way, and I'd walk to restaurants. And it's not, I think younger people are really desirous of that, but there's really no age limit on the kind of people that would enjoy that. Retirees really like it.
Well, and it's interesting you would bring up retirees, because some of the downtown developers who are doing mixed use in those buildings are doing some of them on the ground level and in addition to upstairs, so that the retirees who have been calling you said, well, I would move downtown. You don't have to mess with a yard or anything like that, but I don't want to go upstairs, or I don't want to bother even with an elevator. And so they're doing ground level.
Wow, it's so interesting. At any given time, I'm just curious, in a day of Paige Roberts, how much time is spent talking to potential developers and current developers about the vision of downtown opportunities?
At least a quarter every day, at least a quarter of my day. And
Wow.
some days, depending, it could be all day. I mean, we had a Pascagoula Redevelopment Authority meeting last week where there were 5 projects, legitimate developers, legitimate projects that are already in somewhere on the continuum of reality that are going to be here, that were being pitched and discussed in this public PRA meeting. It was surreal. It really was.
Well, what's creating that? Is it there's money's been sitting on the sideline? Is it that developers are sort of buying into something really special is happening here? Talk to me about that.
Okay, so originally it was that hometown people, Pascagoula's own, had some money to invest, and the willingness to invest it in their own backyard, and were smart business people to boot. And so four of them trailblazed. As you know, Richard Chenoweth is one with Scranton's, several others, and they put their money where their mouth was in their own backyard. And then outsiders, because 3 of those 5 who pitched just a few days ago are from Baton Rouge, from Harrison County, from other places. And we were told this would eventually happen, but we were told it would be about 9 months from now. So Chris Chain, Bob Barber, these designers, planners, and developers we've been working with are shocked themselves that it's happening now and not in the near future. They knew it was coming, but they had no idea it was going to be today.
Well, what's interesting about what's happening is when you have a plan, okay, first of all, having a plan, a vision of where you want to go, and it's based around some concepts that are being talked about widely now in the development community.
Yes.
Then the people that you're talking to now, they already have a sense of where it's going to be 9 months from now. They don't have to wait. Everybody's getting educated. Everybody's beginning to understand that these kind of developments sort of feed off each other, and the more the merrier, because the more the merrier, that means you create even more of a sense of place. There's more vitality. There's more people. There's more restaurants. There's more small shops. It just kind of feeds off itself.
It's a bandwagon. You know it from advertising. People want to be a part of a winning team, and they want to jump on a bandwagon of success. They want to be a part of it. And so more local people are seeing it as well as outsiders. Let me just tell you a real quick story about how this works and how great it is that we're back to face-to-face. So we have this team in talking about a hotel project, a small, very it's not full service, just like with a coffee bar. It's hotel whiskey, like Past Christian has. So
why don't we do this, Paige? We're coming to the end of the segment. Hold your thought right there.
Okay, I will.
And when we come back on the other side, we'll let her continue to give the example, a real life example that she wants to share. So we'll be back after this with Paige Roberts, the Executive Director for the Jackson County Chamber.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
It just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I'm having a great conversation with Paige Roberts, who's the executive director for the Jackson County Chamber. And you know what's interesting, Paige? We're going to come back to the example that you were giving in just a second, but it's so interesting when I had these conversations with people across coastal Mississippi. We're talking about the arts community last week in Bay St. Louis and the work that they're doing with murals and all of this. I mean, the arts is becoming part of their economic development, plan, and the old town Bay St. Louis coming back, and the art community coming back, and all these artists, over 300 of them now. It's just incredible. And then you talk with Sherry and Craig, who have developed the Jackson Pearl and Ocean Springs and what's happening. Yes. Springs.
Yes.
And it's so interesting to hear Pascagoula's now in the mix in these kind of conversations, isn't it? I mean, really. And you were giving an example. So
yes. Well, and people just sometimes dismiss us as only industrial over here in Jackson County, and it's not. And to talk to your point, and again, about how regional all of this is, there is one of the female artists leading that effort in Bay St. Louis is involved in a project with us in downtown Pascagoula, the one with the high school kids and Walter Anderson. So it's fantastic. So just to tell you quickly, so this hotel group that's in from Baton Rouge pitching to the PRA isn't going to be a full service hotel, but they're going to have a coffee bar. And so I mentioned to them, hey, this lady over here, you're going to miss her presentation because you have to leave. But I wanted you to know her presentation involves that she just bought the building across the street from you and is going to put in a coffee shop and bakery. So he's like, oh, I'd love to meet her. So just in 2 minutes of discussing, they're talking about putting her special coffee that she's making specifically for this downtown shop in his hotel as the coffee. I mean, it's just a discussion at this point, but that's how it all works. The relationships, the networking, oh, you're doing this. Well, I can do that. Why don't we do this part together? And that's how success breeds. It's just a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. And as we're learning more about it, to have sort of a business-friendly environment where we're trying to figure out ways to make we're not saying that there won't be rules still, and they won't say it still won't be rigid still. But the reality is that people know what the rules are, and they have people who have a customer service mindset that are helping them, and they're making sure that the projects they do kind of fit the master plan of the city, so that there's, they're adding to the sense of place instead of taking away. We can do this. We can have great development that really help us economically for many years to come, and we can do it in a way that really fits into the community. And you see that playing out every day of your life, don't you?
I do. And of course, Moss Point, I'm so proud of Moss Point. They, we have a new administration that will be coming on board after the voters go to the polls and decide on June the 8th. But there's just already a buzz over there. And it has been a city that's been hurting from challenges. And so what we're learning in Pascagoula, we're able to use those lessons in Moss Point. And the same with Goche and Ocean Springs and St. Martin and Van Cleve and East Central. It's just, and like I said, what's going on in Hancock County is also connected to what's going on in Jackson County. It's a great time to be on the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
It really is. Moss Point, when people hear, especially old timers hear Moss Point,
yes,
they think paper mill. But what they don't think is River City. What they don't think is this riverfront and this enormous potential there. They don't think I-10 corridor and the giant sucking sound coming from Alabama and what that means. Man, Moss Point, we said our piece on Pascagoula, but Moss Point is incredibly well positioned to be successful, aren't they?
Yes, and they want to do better and they want to be better, and that's what I'm here for. I mean, I talk a lot about Pascagoula, but I have the entire Jackson County footprint, and it's all connected. It is all an ecosystem of its own, and it's really great. And then when you tie it into Harrison County and Hancock County and how we thrive as one Mississippi Gulf Coast and how that makes us stronger in Jackson, that's how we win. That is how we win the day.
I thought I had a really terrific conversation. As you know, I've been really on the subject of coastal Mississippi regional tourism and some moves that they've made that have not been in keeping with a regional approach. But I had a great conversation with Joel Carter and especially Jeremy England,
yes,
who spoke very specifically to how the legislature has really sort of embodied in them this acceptance of this regional approach, and that they have this relationship with coastal Mississippi as a region, not as when we come to the tourism topic, and not one specific county. They're looking at this as a regional effort. But we're lucky we have it. There's going to be bumps along the way. We're growing up as a region, but
yes,
when we get on the other side of all this, we will maintain it, because a lot of people believe in that vision. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, because united we stand, divided we fall. And when we come together, there is strength there. And Jackson takes notice when we are one.
Yeah, we've been divided before, and we spent so much time fighting amongst ourselves, they didn't have to pay attention to us. That the people in Jackson, that is.
Wastes our time.
And now we get together in one coast. Just don't do things to take that apart, for goodness sakes. Anyway, Paige, thank you so much for visiting with me today. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Ricky.
And have a great day. Remember, I won't be there tomorrow or Monday, but you'll see some great replays. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.